Okay, this is What If History Restarted, episode 7, I believe. Last time, nothing too major happened. The Marine team did get, jumped by all these guys, though, as well as this thing. So we're just gonna pick it up from there. So, Iberia slash Gibraltar. I'm probably gonna call them Gibraltar. They expand up a little bit, and well, not expand, explore up a little bit into France, finding Brittany. They also, well, because of how important the Mediterranean is becoming, they make sure to explore a lot of that too. The Italian kingdoms also slightly explore Italy, and Greece does make the full exploration of the Adriatic Sea. So now they know Italy isn't an island. Greece also explores up into the Balkans some more, even linking up with the blue team over here by the Black Sea and Crimea. So, other than this tiny little corner here, and some of the Sea of Azov, the entire Mediterranean has been explored, so that's pretty cool. So this northern Egypt thing, they haven't done anything in a while, but now they're gonna. Because there's a couple countries that kind of have a grudge against Egypt, and Cyprus is, at this point, is more powerful than Egypt. So they're going to talk to a lot of these other countries, and all three of these guys down here want to join in on an invasion of Egypt. So Cyprus begins it and sends some of their troops into this northern sort of region of Egypt. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. And then all the other guys start sending out the troops too. This team almost captures that major city. And the brown team has barely any resistance here because they just lost all of this land. So they start pushing up with pretty easily and almost take back their old capital. North Egypt takes this major city but doesn't do much else. And now that Egypt is aware that they're being invaded, they can start to actually push back. They push this country out and start a small invasion into it. They also slow down this country's expansion, but it does go slightly further. But the Brown Hejaz team and Cyprus are both still really pushing in. Cyprus cuts them off from here, and Hejaz takes over all of this, and then this entire section falls. So Egypt fully rolls through that country. They start focusing their troops up here, and as well as stationing them, I think that's the right term, along this border on the border between Africa and the Sinai Peninsula. So they do lose that major city, but now they are pretty defended over here. They managed to reclaim all of this and begin pushing into northern Egypt, even taking its capital. But their defense over here is finally broken. And with that, as the Cypriots are spilling into their country, they realize that they should probably stop. So they agree to peace with the invading countries. And now we're going to look at that. Sorry if my voice is kind of weird. I'm a little sick and I just woke up. So, yeah. So Hejaz is going to be getting most of actual Hejaz, like this. And they're going to put their capital back where it used to be. Let me just... So now they're looking like this. This country down here is going to get fully annexed by Egypt, though. So if we just do it like that, Egypt is also going to take a nice chunk out of this country, including their capital. So they're going to be forced to relocate their capital over somewhere else. They don't have any other major cities, so they make a new one up here. Maybe right there. So, yeah, Egypt kind of came out of that. Oh wait, I forgot Cyprus. Cyprus, of course, is going to get a very nice chunk of land because they did by far the most work. Egypt is pushed all the way back to Africa. And now Cyprus is starting to get very dominant over this Levantine Sea. And Greece is pretty concerned by this because at this point Cyprus is probably a little bit stronger than them now. So Greece is going to go ahead and start expanding rapidly. They consider invading the Italian kingdoms, but they don't do that just yet. They go up into like Dalmatia and take a lot of this coast. They really just hug the coast, and because they also go up here in the Black Sea, even make some small things on Crimea. This country over here has a very low population, and a lot of the people are just moving to either Cyprus or Greece already, so it's slowly kind of shriveling up. This new country, it's pretty weak, but it is actually like growing kind of fast. So they start pushing and taking some land over here and up here. The blue team also finally manages to connect up with this part. Because of that, they start to focus more on exploring, and they go all the way down here to Persia, as well as up further into Russia. This Aral Sea country surrounds the Aral Sea now. They're really just like a mini blue team. And they don't do too much, but they do that. So that's great for them. The blue team, though, kind of starts threatening it by kind of rapidly expanding close to it, which is definitely strange because, as you can see, they were really just hugging the coast, and now they're suddenly going in. So they're a little bit concerned and start focusing more on their military. Now, if you remember, last time China started to, like, die, and the people in China are pretty unhappy, especially as it gets even worse. They lose a major city as people just abandon it, and then they lose most of their southern part. So it's kind of just like the Yellow Sea now. And so there is some more exploration down here. So the people are going to overthrow the current government and install this new guy who's a dictator, and he's very power hungry, and he says that he's going to make China really strong again, and they're going to be the strongest again. I mean, they probably at least have a vague idea that there's people out here, but I mean, I don't think they even knew that they were the strongest. But it's whatever. Unrelated, though, there is a group of tribal people that set up their own country, which is this orange team down on this island. I don't like that color. Sure. So this orange team sets up on this island, takes over this little peninsula here too. The capital goes right over here. China knows about this pretty fast, and they decide that they probably should take it over because it'll be more developed. And considering that they just lost some of the southern land, that's where the new dictator is going to focus, and so he starts to expand down the southern coast. His main way of not making China collapse again is just kidnapping people and then forcing them to be Chinese citizens. Some of them do actually like it because it's more civilized here, but some of them don't because he is just kidnapping natives from over here. But well, in this Persian/Indian region, more exploration happens up here, and first of all, the green Indus River thing is going to get a new major city down here in India, as well as one up on this coast. And now they're going to go to war and invade this northern half, because why not? Might as well get more developed land. So they start pushing in, but this country has some pretty good defensives. They aren't really that good offensively, but they actually are defending the country pretty well. They managed to push them back a little bit, and they even reach the border over here. Now the darker green ones start sending all of their... I just realized it's like the same color as Greece. No, Greece is lighter. Never mind. But the darker green one starts sending all their troops to try and capture this capital, which happens. But the mint, I'll call it that, country manages to reclaim it. They then separate these troops and get them all out, and then push them back to the border. And now they even start to, even though they're like much weaker, they now manage to even start a tiny offensive into the darker green one. Now this is pretty sad, because the darker green one at this point might be in the top 10 most powerful countries. This lime green one is probably like, not counting the African ones, just looking at the Asian or the Italian ones. So just looking at these like Middle Eastern / Asian countries, this country is probably the weakest. So it maybe like third or fourth weakest. So this is kind of sad, just because I mean it's pathetic. And this Persian purple thing starts pushing down and takes this major city, which allows for them to make more progression up here. The dark green team does push this back and start pushing into this country. And they also push back and take some of this land. But here, the citizens start to get very unruly, and they have to agree to peace. So the borders are just going to be whatever land they have occupied. So this was a pretty humiliating defeat for the dark green team, because they just got beat up by a country that's like half as strong as them. But they are going to start focusing more on their military and making it less incompetent now. Over here in Yemen, they start exploring more. They almost meet up with Oman and Hijaz, but they don't quite meet up with either. More exploration happens over here in the, African coast, Horn of Africa. This country remains pretty small. They don't really do any expanding, and some citizens kind of want to, so they decide to break off and make their own little country down here, this pink one. I guess this is green. Yeah. They start expanding more, take over a good amount of the coast over here. They start becoming relatively strong. They're probably stronger than the Horn of Africa country by this point. So that's good for them. This little blob down here on the Nile River, they also start to expand a little. Well, first they explore, obviously, but after that they then begin to expand. Not too much. The Lake Country was pretty severely weakened when this country broke off, and this country is now being like more successful for them. They still aren't more powerful because they're much younger, but they already have full control of this lake and a second major city. And they're increasing in power much faster than the yellow team is. The yellow team is actually decreasing in power, and so some people kind of are finally starting to realize in the yellow team that their thing of sticking to these lakes really isn't working, and some of them are considering to revolt. They don't yet, but it's probably going to happen. Over here, a lot more exploration into Madagascar is made. Maybe more than that. Send out After they like explore all around the island, send out another expedition over here. That doesn't really go anywhere, but um, they did it. They didn't die. Well, some of them did, but not all of them. And so they just take more of this coast. And we do see some immigrants decide to make another country up here. This dark red one. This country also begins to, stabilize and starts to expand again. This country also does a little bit of expansion along this coast. And this country, even though it's centered around this lake, it has not the same lake policy as this country. So they also start to expand out. I don't even know what the yellow team would think of the ocean, because now they know it exists. Like, it's technically just a really big salty lake. So, I don't know if they would like that or not. Maybe they would say the salt makes it evil. I don't know. Anyway, the Nile River is fully explored now. They meet up with the yellow team, who chases them back out, but at least they found the Nile River. The yellow team is very hostile towards them, and this country's pretty weak. Doesn't really even have any definite borders. Just kind of people in it just kind of live around this area. Finally, we see the Red Sea be completely explored, and now another new country pops up on it. Right over, let me make it smaller. Right over on this coast. I mean, I don't know how a country would pop up on the Red Sea without being on the coast, but yeah. The red team, if you remember, they had a pretty terrible government, which was pretty authoritarian, and that's still here. So they're gonna pretty rapidly expand. They don't want to go to war just yet because they want to pretend like they're at least somewhat friendly for a couple decades / years. I don't know. Time in this early part of the series is definitely pretty weird. Like, I don't really know what year it is, but yeah. I'd say like 300 BC maybe. Anyway, the last thing we're going to do is just get another update on these Italian kingdoms. We see another new one form up on this coast over here. Their capital's right, and they're separated from the rest, obviously, and that's because they don't really want to be involved with all this. What's left of Sicily also forms into a new one, like that. And now wars happen as this country, first of all, splits in two. This lime, well, not lime, I don't know what that color is. I'll just say green, breaks off. And they also start to invade the orange team. But it doesn't really go that well. They just kind of stalemate here. The orange team, in turn, starts to expand up here. I'm not sure what this would be called, but this northern Sicily / southern Italy thing is divided up between all of its neighbors. This guy expands up here a little bit more, trying to get even further away. Greece also wraps around more. They send over a bunch of people on ships, and some of them just to do trade, and some of them decide that they want to stay. So we have this little Greek thing being made into a country. And it also makes sure that it's gonna border the other kingdoms down here. So yeah, Italy is still very divided. Nothing happens on Sardinia yet, by the way. And I mean, yeah. So that's gonna be it for this episode. Decent amount happened, and yeah, goodbye.